Welcome back to Tech Made Simple. My name is Colin Black, a former RFID engineer bringing you honest, unbiased answers about RFID technology. Today's video will be a little bit longer form, a little more open dialogue of me answering some of the most common questions that people have about RFID technology. Make sure you watch this video all the way to the end and let me know, give me feedback. Do you like this type of content? Do you like long form content? Let me know in the comments down below so I can continue to bring the best type of content towards you, the viewer. But with that, let's get right into it. So I have 7 questions today that I was going to cover that I've gathered from not only real customers who are in the RFID industry, but also just individuals looking to get into the technology. So with that, I got my questions pulled up here. The first question is RFID worth it? That is such a loaded question, and it could have truly a million different answers. And not that I don't have a great answer, but the only way I can give you an answer is truly having a dialogue with you about what you're trying to accomplish, what are your goals, and that's really what RFID, whether they're solution providers or other integrators, these are the types of questions going to ask you to better understand whether RFID is worth it. So the first would just be, what are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? There's many different industries that RFID can play a role in and really optimize your business models. But the question I always ask is, what are you looking to get from RFID technology? And that is going to help determine whether RFID is worth it or not. Not only that, but how vested are you into finding a new technology to better your processes? The reason that question is important is because many companies that kind of just push off their RFID project onto one person to say, hey, you're the RFID expert for our company, figure out or find out whether RFID is right for us. Those types of companies or applications that start off with that type of approach typically don't pan out in the long run, because RFID isn't a one-person job. It needs to be a company all putting their heads together to say, hey, is RFID the right approach? And if it is, how are we going to implement it into our business model to make sure that we get the return we're looking for? It has to be a strategic approach to really determine if RFID is worth it. But in short, yes, RFID can be extremely beneficial for your company. And the way I look at it is, if there is a problem, RFID can be a solution to that problem. Now, don't quote me to say RFID is the solution for every problem, but I'm a firm believer that if you're creative enough, RFID can be a solution for you. But there may be other technologies that are a better solution than RFID. But if you've already invested in RFID, likely you can be creative and find a way to use RFID to your advantage. All right. The next question is RFID expensive? This question is constantly popping up, and I have another video that talks about the expense of RFID, breaking down all the different costs that go into implementing an RFID system that I'll drop a card up above here, as well as include a link down below in the description. So make sure you check that out. But this question, is RFID expensive? It's very much a relative question to who you are and how large your organization is, or how large your budget is ultimately. Tags that are 20 cents to one company may be extremely cheap, but 20 cents for another company who's just getting started may be quite an expense. So again, it's kind of a relative question on how expensive RFID is. But if you check out my other video, it'll better help you understand, okay, does RFID fit my budget? And is it something that after I break down the return and the value that could come from RFID technology, is that investment right for me? But one last comment on just RFID and the expense of it. To me, RFID kind of had a bad rap because RFID technology has been around for many, many years. some of the newer technologies, especially like with smartphones, have just really taken off. And because everyone has a smartphone in their pocket now, people don't see smartphones as an expensive investment. Although, I mean, when you look at the cost of smartphones now, we're talking 1,000 to 1,500, if not more, for these devices. Not to mention, cellular services and other things. I mean, those are starting to rack up as an expense, but people just, brush that off their shoulders saying, oh yeah, well, I have to have that. Well, when people look at RFID, they don't see it as something they have to have. So they right away jump to, oh, it's an expense that I don't need because I'm already doing my process right now. So the companies that dive in and say, hey, yes, we really want to take a look at RFID and we've built out this budget for it. What type of return can we get from RFID with this budget? And is that worth it in the end? If you have questions about that, drop some comments below and I can do my best to help point you in the right directions, but also check out some of the links to my other videos and hopefully those can get you some of the answers that you're looking for. Question number 3, how does RFID work? Again, a very open-ended question, but RFID falls into the AIDC category, or automatic identification data capture. It's a means to capture data without the need for manual human intervention. In the IoT world of today, where everything has data and analytics, RFID fits right into that by tagging items that will then have a unique identification number tied to it. And then pairing that with the automatic data capture capabilities, RFID, in my opinion, has become even more powerful in the technology age that we're in today. Looking ahead, I can see some of the questions about applications coming up, so I'll save some of my comments about why RFID can be effective in certain applications for those questions. But to quickly say, RFID can streamline so many different applications as long as you take the time to set up your system to best capture the data at the right time in your process. And if you want a more technical breakdown of how the actual technology works, I have a video titled "What is RFID?" that breaks it down, as well as a few others that explain some of the technology. So make sure you check those out. Question number 4 says, what are the most common applications of RFID? There certainly are common applications of RFID. However, I would argue that every RFID system and application is unique. The reason I say that is, yes, there are thousands and thousands of work in process, conveyor type RFID systems in the world. However, every warehouse, every system is unique in that the environmental factors around that cause a unique RF field that is unique to that specific system. The generic applications of RFID include many things like, work in process type applications where tagged items are moving through your process, whatever it is, whether it's automotive, manufacturing, food chain, all the different types of industries out there that have a work in process where items are moving from one step to the next step to the next step. RFID can be used on those tagged items to track the item from process to process while automatically updating a database or a warehouse management system showing the progress of those tagged items. The beauty of that is that that is all happening automatically based on the RFID system setup. Another common application is just inventory tracking. Every company loathes end of month manual inventories where someone walks around with a clipboard, paper, and pen and has to manually count or, track and see all the different items on the shelf. And then even worse is when something is off and then they have to run around and try to figure out why inventory's off. Many companies don't believe that there's a better solution out there. Well, I'm here to say that RFID is an awesome solution for inventory tracking. I'm careful to say it's not perfect, but when you subtract manual, tedious process of going around and taking hand inventory, RFID's solution pays for itself in a matter of days. Different ways to implement RFID for inventory tracking can be fixed readers on certain points where it's constantly reading tags on a shelf so you know in real time what tags are on what shelf. Other types of inventories are using a handheld. Instead of having to walk around and physically read numbers or even scan barcodes, you can quickly take your RFID handheld reader and scan shelves and instantly pick up what items are on what shelf. Especially when you pair that with data standards like GS1, the RAIN ISO numbering system, you can really pinpoint what specific items are on what shelves by the power of filtering. I have 2 videos that talk about filtering and data standards. So again, those will be linked down below in the description if you want to check those out. Other common applications are asset management of fixed assets that you want to either maintain maintenance schedules to where if you have an internal audit or something that you want to quickly understand where assets are in their maintenance schedule, you can quickly go around and scan RFID tags on those assets, which will quickly bring up a maintenance log that shows when an asset was last maintenance. You have access control, pulling into, say, a gated community where you have an RFID reader set up, it reads the RFID tag on your vehicle, for instance, and it opens the gate because it recognizes you as a member of the gated community. Car washes are another big access control application where it behaves similarly to the gated communities, where you pull up to the car wash, it reads your RFID tag, you pull in, it knows that customer X needs this specific wash and it charges your account automatically. Those are ways that for instance, like car washes can limit the amount of laborers that they have at the facility because the RFID is managing those customers at the gate. All right, moving into question number 5 is, how do I know if RFID is right for me? My simple answer is do some research. It takes 2 minutes to do a quick Google search, which I am a huge proponent of. If you're looking to get into RFID, hopefully you come to my channel, Tech Made Simple, to better understand your questions. But I would advise even just starting with a quick Google search, type in your kind of process or application on Google and say using RFID or something along those lines behind it. I almost guarantee there will be another application that pops up that is utilizing an RFID system for your specific business approach. This is a great place to start because you can start to get ideas as to how other companies are using RFID and tagging specific items that are similar to your process. Or another great place to go is to pick up the phone and to call an RFID expert. So the company I work for is Metalcraft, and Metalcraft is an RFID tag manufacturer. But I would argue that we do more than just manufacture the labels that go onto the assets or products that you're looking to tag with RFID. We really take a step further to better understand your application in its entirety so that we can set you up for success from the very beginning. We will ask questions about the products you're looking to tag, the environment that those products are going in, how you want to read those products, whether it be fixed readers or handheld readers. Not only that, but we do very detailed testing on those specific products if possible. You can send the products to us if they're small enough, or we can replicate a product similar to what you're looking to tag in our highly intelligent RFID equipment to really benchmark performance in our facility so that we can share data with you that will leave you feeling confident that the RFID solution we're recommending is going to work for your application. I highly recommend you reach out to Metalcraft, even if you're just looking to get started in your RFID application. So I'll leave Metalcraft's information down below in the description if you want to reach out and better understand how RFID can impact your business. And also, if you want to get a hold of me, I'm sure if you call the number for Metalcraft and request to speak with me, I'd love to hop on a call with you and better understand and walk you through the best RFID system for your application. So question number 6 is, what are some alternatives to RFID? Some of the most common alternatives to RFID range up to some of the newer technologies that are really gaining traction, such as like Bluetooth and other cellular mobile type applications, all the way down to just the humble barcode. Barcode is one area where I suggest if you're nervous about investing into an RFID system from the very beginning, barcode is an awesome place to start because from an expense standpoint, it's a little more cost effective and it doesn't take as much infrastructure to get a system set up with barcode. Not only that, but the learning curve with barcode is much easier because everybody knows how to have a barcode and scan a barcode. Not only that, but likely the smartphone in your pocket easily has the ability to scan barcodes and record data, making for a barcode implementation all the easier. If I had to do another plug for my company, Metalcraft, Metalcraft also provides very high quality, durable barcode labels as well. So if you're not ready to take the step and the leap to RFID technology, you can also reach out to Metalcraft to see what they have to offer for barcode solutions as well. One thing I always mention is RFID is such a broad technology that's not limited to one frequency. And when I say that, I don't want people to get confused, but RFID again covers everything from the HF or NFC tags that I'm sure everyone is familiar with, where you can take your phone and you see those tags or labels that say tap here. You tap your phone and then it takes you to a website or it launches an application. That is NFC and HF, and that falls into RFID technology. Your UHF technology, which requires a handheld reader, a fixed reader, but that picks up tags up to 50, 60 feet away, that is RFID technology. The higher frequency tags that can be read even further away using different devices in order to communicate. But a lot of those things all fall under the broad category of RFID. I primarily refer to UHF or RAIN technology just because it's very widely adopted in many applications and industries around the world. The last question, number 7, is I've heard RFID isn't reliable. Is that true? Sometimes these questions make me laugh because the people that typically ask this question are those searching for a new technology or a new solution because their current solution isn't reliable. But I would say this, RFID will be as reliable as the effort you're willing to put in to make it so. For example, back to my example of the organizations that delegate one person as their RFID guy to say, hey, you figure out if RFID is right for us, and then we'll back you up, or something along those lines. Typically, those types of applications are setting that one person up for failure because one, they typically don't have an excess amount of knowledge to understand all of the best decisions that need to be made in terms of selecting an RFID system. So they're just going to do the best that they can. And likely that'll result in an RFID system that isn't a perfect fit for what they're looking to do in their application. Not only that, that'll hurt the reliability of the RFID system they're trying to implement. That approach as well acts as like a scapegoat type of approach where you put it on one person and then as soon as your RFID yield is 85%, you blame that person to say, one, they either didn't do a good enough job, or you blame the technology, RFID, and say, RFID isn't reliable, therefore we're going to scrap it and go to something completely different. The organizations that say, again, we're going to invest in RFID technology and do everything we can and get all the right experts and solution providers together to ensure the success of the project are the ones that see the best return and the best success with RFID. At the end of the day, I may be biased towards RFID technology because I've been around it for so long, but also because I've seen the power and success of so many RFID applications that I wish more organizations around the world could really see the benefits and take that leap into the technology, because I know at the end of the day, it's going to get them from some of the hassles and bottlenecks that they're currently seeing into some serious return in future applications. But with that, I'm going to wrap it up here. Again, I hope you enjoyed today's content. Again, it's a little more open, free-form conversation with me and my experience in the RFID industry. If there's other specific question that you would like me to answer in a future video like this, please leave them below in the description because I'd love to have those conversations. Or if you want to have more of a direct conversation with me, make sure you reach out to Metalcraft, which their website is linked down below in the description. And I'd love to have the conversation with you and to see how we can get your RFID application set up for success. Again, this is Colin Black with Tech Made Simple. Make sure you leave some comments below on what other RFID concepts you want made simple.